When a major storm makes landfall, the infrastructure we rely on vanishes in minutes. Paved roads are washed away, power grids collapse, and local emergency services are immediately overwhelmed. Focus on the physical reality of recovery left behind. In these moments, who mucks out a flooded living room or clears the massive trees blocking access routes? Usually, the people with the fewest resources are left to handle it alone. At the same time, thousands of miles from these disaster zones, a second crisis unfolds in silence. Military veterans returning home often struggle to transition to civilian life, having suddenly lost their shared mission, their community, and their sense of purpose. On one side, devastated towns need skilled, organized manpower to recover. On the other, returning military personnel need a mission to replace the one they left behind. These are two separate vacuums, seemingly unrelated. The connection between these two crises emerged in the rubble of the 2010 Haiti earthquake. Days after the magnitude 7.0 tremor, Marine veterans Jake Wood and William McNulty gathered a small team, grabbed medical supplies, and flew to Port-au-Prince on their own. In the middle of absolute devastation, they noticed something crucial. Disasters create austere, chaotic, and stressful environments, the exact conditions combat veterans are trained to navigate. While others panic, military personnel know how to remain calm, assess triage, and execute complex logistics. Applying their military experience to disaster relief, this rogue crew effectively mapped out supply lines and delivered medical care where international organizations were still struggling to reach. They called themselves Team Rubicon. What began as a spontaneous rescue effort by a few friends established a scalable, battle-tested model for humanitarian response. But as they ran more operations, the founders observed something they had not expected. The disaster zone was actively healing the volunteers. This diagram maps out the psychological overlaps between a combat deployment and a disaster response. Both require a shared mission, high stakes, and intense reliance on your team. Putting veterans back into this environment effectively counteracts the isolation of returning to civilian life. The urgency of this mental health aspect became clear in 2011, when the group lost original member Clay Hunt to suicide. To honor his legacy, Team Rubicon prioritized domestic operations, creating a permanent pathway for veterans to continue serving right here at home. The organization evolved into a symbiotic machine. It heals broken communities by deploying veterans, and it heals transitioning veterans by giving them a community to serve. Today, that machine operates on a massive scale. The original handful of Marines with backpacks has grown into an official 501c3, managing over 138,000 active volunteers, known as Gray Shirts. You cannot deploy thousands of people to unpredictable crisis zones using gut instincts and spreadsheets. It requires advanced enterprise software and heavy data integration. This data map visualizes how they decide where to go first. By cross-referencing weather impact paths with the CDC's Social Vulnerability Index, which tracks factors like poverty and transportation access, the organization surgically targets the most under-resourced neighborhoods. Once the target area is defined, artificial intelligence goes to work. Microsoft Dynamics algorithms scan the active volunteer database, matching specific skills like chainsaw operators, known as sawyers, directly to the geographic coordinates of a blocked road. This precision earned Team Rubicon a seat inside the Federal Emergency Management Agency's National Response Coordination Center. Gray Shirts on the ground feed real-time truth back to Federal Command, streamlining the national response. Pairing military precision with advanced data analytics turns a sprawling volunteer base into a surgical strike force optimized for social equity. A significant portion of this force's work happens outside the news cycle. Before disasters strike, teams deploy to isolated high-risk areas to perform physical mitigation, like clearing dry brush and creating fire-defensible spaces around rural homes. And they stay long after the cameras leave. In what they call low-attention disasters, volunteers embed with communities to do the grueling heavy lifting of muckouts and home repairs, months or even years after the initial storm. Sometimes the operations are intensely personal. Following the withdrawal from Afghanistan, veterans mobilized across the country to set up housing and distribute supplies to the Afghan allies who had served alongside them during the war. Community resilience is built on the long-term relationships and trust established within these forgotten populations. As the mission expands, the identity of the gray shirt has expanded with it. Today, you do not need to be a military veteran to join the ranks. There is only one baseline requirement for incoming volunteers. You must possess the grit and the tenacity to step into chaos and help people on the absolute worst days of their lives. Team Rubicon has shown that a veteran's duty continues past enlistment, while proving that a community's survival depends on those willing to step into the arena.